What's up, people? Welcome back. Thank you for joining me. And today I am answering your questions. Last video I asked if you guys would comment any questions for a Q&A or DM me on Instagram if you guys were curious about anything. So today we're doing the Q&A, and surprisingly I got a decent amount of responses, and I'm super grateful for all of you guys that did actually ask questions and are curious about my response. So without further ado, let's get to the first question. So the first one is from YouTube. It is by Ryan NG Films. He says, besides Roger Deakins, who are your other favorite cinematographers? It's quite a few. I actually wrote down a few just so I wouldn't forget. So my answers are, I love Lawrence Sher. He was the cinematographer for The Joker as well as The Hangover as well. I absolutely love his work. When The Joker released, he was on almost every single filmmaking podcast around, and I think I listened to him for like 2 weeks straight on like every single podcast. I love his work. He is also the owner of a website called Shot Deck, which is a really, really awesome website where they pretty much take stills from all, famous movies, where you can search by mood. Like, if you wanted to look for a sunset by the beach with one person, you can find shots from movies for that. If you wanted to find a single person in a car that's raining, you can find that as well too. This is great for if you're doing mood boards or shot lists, or if you're trying to create a treatment for something. But he is the owner of that. It's called Shot Deck. It's in the beta version, but if you go on there, you could sign up and you could check that out. It's really awesome. Without giving much description of all the other ones, because I'd be here for about probably a long time. Ben Cutchins, he is the DP for Ozark, which is one of my favorite shows ever. Natasha Breyer was the DP for Honey Boy. Tim Ives, Stranger Things. I really, really love his work on Stranger Things. Josh Shelton, Homecoming Season 2 was my favorite work by him. Homecoming Season 1 was also beautiful, but Homecoming Season 2, it's an Amazon Prime original. It's just a beautiful show. I highly recommend it. Paul Myers, Greta Zazula, awesome. She DP'd a movie called The Half of It, which is on Netflix. Highly recommend it. It's kind of something that I normally wouldn't watch, but I just saw the cover and I was like, maybe I'll just try something, and I ended up really, really loving it. Mike Koziel, really great DP. Danny Gewirtz, of course, he's the man. I love that guy. Ben Hess, also another great guy. I've worked with him before, based out in California. Really amazing DP. Just a general awesome dude. Great guy, his name is Nick Pilecki. He does some really, really amazing work. He also has an Ursa as well, which kind of got me interested in the camera in the first place. He does some beautiful work. Thomas, his last name kills me every time. Thomas Tauher, I don't know. He works with Jacob Owens, Buff Nerds. He also has that course, Learn Cinematography. His work is phenomenal. I love him a lot. And lastly, Logan Mice. He is a director and cinematographer, mostly for music videos. He's done Post Malone before, but overall he's a great DP as well. So that's just an overview of some of the great cinematographers that I really am inspired by and I really look up to. So that's my list. I'll link all of their Instagrams and whatever else they have below so you could check them out. So the next question. Let's see. Okay. Next question is by Johnny Morfoulis. I've talked to you before. Sorry, I forgot. I don't know how to say your last name, but he says, what is your end goal? I don't know, my friend. I really do not know. Probably to be happy. Be happy. That's my end goal. He also asked a few other questions. So, where do you see yourself this time next year? It's a really good question because I also don't know. But I would hope to be, considering COVID and that kind of changing a lot of things, I would love to be traveling more for work. I'd like to be doing some higher end production work, some more documentary, and maybe even doing a few narrative stuff, maybe some short films. That's what I would like to be doing by maybe this time next year. A couple of other questions that he asked as well is there any challenges you experience when on set and how do you overcome them? Yes, always and forever. There will always be challenges. and yes, you have to overcome them every single time. But the thing is, you don't have to overcome them alone. The thing about filmmaking is it's a huge collaborative effort, and having people surrounding you that are positive and like-minded and that are willing to create something for just the sake of the craft really helps you kind of overcome obstacles like without doing it alone, because sometimes doing it alone could be daunting. So how I overcome obstacles is a lot of the times I ask for opinions and I ask for other people's advice as well, and I try not to overreact if something negative happens, because that's the worst thing, especially if you're in front of a client. So the best thing to do is, if something happens, take a step back for a second, breathe, assess the situation, and look to see all the alternatives that are possible for that scenario. Next question he said is, what have you felt works best when finding your own clients? Honestly, word of mouth. If you do really great work and you're great to the clients, a big thing for me and my production company that I always say for people that work for me is, number one thing is respect. Always respect the client, always have a positive mind. Please don't be disrespectful, have a negative attitude on the job, because that directly reflects me and my business as well. So at the end of the day, when you're done shooting and you deliver that product and they love it, they're going to remember that product, but they're also going to remember that experience they had with you. Whether that's positive or negative, you always want to make sure that they remember that they had a great time working with you and you'd like to work with them in the future, and that they are happy to recommend you to a friend. So that's a great way to get new clients. The last question he asked is, would you work for an agency or production company? So this is something that I've been kind of battling mentally for quite some time now. I have my own production company. Granted, it's not very big or anything. I do a decent amount of work, but for the work that I want to be doing as a cinematographer, I know that I can't do everything alone in my company, because I see other production companies that do amazing work. Like, for example, I've worked with a company called Blue Ox, where I've assisted on their sets before, and I'd love to be a cinematographer for them because they do absolutely beautiful work for some amazing brands. So yes, I would love to work with production companies and agencies as well. So thank you for those questions, Johnny, you're the man. Thank you very much. The next question, let's go to, all right, Raleigh Norton. He said, what do you do with your footage after you deliver the final project to a client? Do you project manage and keep the rest of the footage? Or do you delete everything except the final result? Or do you keep everything? Great question. So, short answer is I keep everything. Long answer is I keep everything to a certain extent. Not very long answer, but I do, for client work especially, I do keep all of the raw footage up to a certain point, usually up to about a year or so. I'll have everything on my hard drive just for safety. God forbid anything happens, or even if the client wants to add a second video to the raw footage you already have, you have that footage, you can maybe make a second edit to it. So yes, I always keep my footage for maybe a year or even 2, depending on the client or the project. Personal projects, depending on what they are and how important they are, I'll keep them. If not, then I don't. But also, depending on the shot as well, I will keep a lot of some of the best shots I have for a reel for that year. So some of the best personal shots I have, I will keep for my cinematography reel for 2020. But yeah, after I deliver the footage, they get the final product, that's it, and I keep the raw footage for about a year or so. That's my answer. Thank you for that, Raleigh. Next question is by Kuyavlogger. Thank you, dude. What do you see yourself after 5 years from now? Okay. I guess to kind of answer like last time, I want to be happy doing what I'm doing. Granted, I know that maybe in 5 years, if I'm still doing what I'm doing, there's going to be times where I might do jobs where I'm not so happy about it, or it might not be the best thing in the world, but at the end of the day, I'm still holding a camera, I'm still shooting. It's still something that I love no matter what. I also see in 5 years, 4 years, I set a goal for myself. Me and my girlfriend set a goal for ourselves to buy our first home, whether that's for ourselves or a rental. So that's a big thing for us to see in about 5 years or so. But I just want to be more established as a cinematographer, whether that's working for other production companies and agencies. We're growing my production company as well to an extent. So that's, I want to build relationships better, build a better narrative reel. I really want to work more narrative in the next 5 years, some more documentary work, and meet more directors, some producers, and just, connect with people and just, I don't know, experience life. That's my answer. So thank you, Mr. Kuyavlogger. I appreciate that question. All right. So the last question on YouTube that I got was, all right, Mr. Juan Gandhi. Thank you for this. He wrote a lot here without going about everything. The question that he said was, I would love to hear your story since the beginning, like the process becoming what you are right now, not only how you got your equipment, of course hard work, but what are the decisions you took that got you at this point in your career, and what are your plans to become where you would like to be? It's a heavy one. All right, real quick, my story is creatively my story. When I was about, I want to say 13 or 14, I started as a DJ. I was watching something on YouTube about Tomorrowland, and I think I was watching Tiesto or something, and I absolutely just loved, I don't know, I just fell in love with what he was doing. I think I was stuck on the computer for a few hours, to be honest, just watching him. And I got a little DJ controller. I practiced for such a long time. I got my first little high school gig from there, did a couple birthday parties, and then about a year and a half later from starting, I did my first teen night at a club, and then from there I was pretty much a resident DJ at teen nights at a club near me, and then I did a few other clubs here and there. While doing that, I also found a passion for music production. So I think when I was about 15 or so, I started producing my own music. And that slowly started to take over the DJing aspect, and I stopped DJing and I slowly became a music producer through high school, as well as playing sports through high school. I played soccer and football. And then I went to college. I went to college for music production. I only stayed for a year and a half because it is not for me. And I say that to a lot of people. College is not for everyone, but I'm grateful I had that experience because I met some amazing people, and I also learned that I was right. It wasn't for me. But I went for music production, and I realized at that time that I don't know if music was something that I was still 100% passionate about. Actually, I missed a step. Rewind. Going into freshman year of college, I started a clothing company. It was a streetwear, surf, skate, one of those brands. And I didn't have enough money to hire a photographer or videographer, but I ended up buying this little cheap Nikon D33. I think it was like $300. I had enough money to buy this camera. So I did my own photo shoots. I did my first video shoot, which is honestly on YouTube, and I'm gonna link that in the description because it's actually so funny to see that video. That's my first ever video, and then seeing what I'm doing now is just, it's a humbling thing to just see hard work and how it pays off. But that was a sidetrack. So since I had that clothing company, I would do the photos and video myself, and then something happened with the clothing company where some legal issues happened. So then I dropped the camera for a long time. I didn't touch it for maybe 4 months in college, freshman year. I didn't touch it at all. I was still producing music. And then sophomore year, I think mid-sophomore year, I picked the camera back up and I kind of fell in love with it even more. Like, it was just like a rejuvenated feeling of passion in a way. So, hold on, pause. Let me just see if it's recording. Okay. Yeah, so sophomore year, I picked up the camera again, and it just felt amazing. It felt like I was back at home. Like, it just felt like a rejuvenated feeling of passion in a way. So mid-sophomore year, I left college. I dropped out. Parents weren't, my mom wasn't happy. My dad, he supported me. He understood what I wanted to do. But even though I honestly didn't really know what I wanted to do when I dropped out, I ended up becoming a full-time landscaper for my cousin and uncle's company. I did that for about 2 years, full-time. That really taught me hard work. Like, landscaping is not easy. manual labor in 90, 100 degree weather in New Jersey in the summer is not fun. But at the end of the day, it taught me that 1, hard work is key for success, and 2, I will do anything not to be a full-time landscaper. And it's going that way. So not sophomore year, second year into landscaping. At this time, I was still shooting. So coming home from landscaping, I'd work 12-hour days. I'd get home around 6:30 at night. No. I'd get home around 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Sunset would be around 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'd drive home, grab my camera, drive to the beach every single day, meet my friends and shoot sunset every single day. I did this for, every day for like 5 months in the summer. Whatever, when I started landscaping the second year when the season came back on. But so from there, fortunately I got connected with these 2 amazing people, Ty Poland and Vin D'Amelio. They own a production company called Simply Visual Productions, based out in New Jersey. They're an aerial production company. At the time, they did ground and aerial, primarily in real estate. So I shadowed them for about 3-4 months, unpaid completely. I just did it for that experience. I cut my days back at work. So I was only, instead of working 6 days a week landscaping, I was only working 4 now. And the other days, I was driving up 45 minutes up north of my house to drive up to their house and go shoot and just learn from them for free. So I took a massive pay cut for about 3 months just to learn how to shoot video, how to shoot photos better, how to make this a career. And in the beginning, it wasn't easy. That pay cut really hurt, but it really paid off in the end. And again, it shows that hard work and dedication to a craft or a passion is absolutely vital to succeeding. Because if I didn't do that, I don't think I'd be where I am today, without a doubt. And I owe a lot to those guys. They're absolutely phenomenal. I would check them out as well, Simply Visual Productions. But from there, I started branching off. I've always been slightly entrepreneurial, so I branched off a little bit. I still work with them all the time. They're great, but I started my own production company as well, and I started doing small jobs here and there, just little itty-bitty things. Real estate was like a big thing for me to keep like that paycheck coming and paying my bills. So after about 4 months of working with them, I quit my job landscaping and I took that leap and I decided to go full-time. In the beginning, it wasn't easy. It was exceptionally frightening, and it's still frightening, very, but that's kind of what it's about. You got to be able, if you want to make it in this industry, you have to understand that the uncertainty of things are normal. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, if that makes sense. I say that a lot. Because in the beginning, that uncomfortable feeling it nauseated me. It made me not sleep at night because I wasn't getting paid. But at the end of the day, I was only 20, 19 years old. So I didn't really have the crazy stresses of someone that maybe is 30 years old and has a mortgage and has kids. Which, going back to his other question, let me just go back because there was a lot here. I'm sorry. This is crazy. So hold on one second. Not only how you got your equipment, but what are the decisions that, okay. So as far as the equipment and the decisions that it took to get me where I am, I'm a big believer. Something that I believe in is, so I'm very fortunate. I'm 22 years old right now. I live at home. I live with my mom. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm saving money on rent, and I use this time in my life to invest in gear. I don't have a mortgage. I do not have kids. So I can take this time now to invest in the gear that otherwise, if I did have a mortgage and I did have kids, would be 10 times more stressful. So in 5 years from now, I'm gonna have all of this equipment already paid for, and I'm still saving my money, but I'm not having to worry about paying a mortgage and stuff. So for me, being 22, I've realized that now is the time for me to invest in gear. So I think I answered your question. I'm gonna double check it again. What are your plans to become where you'd like to be? Hard work, really hard work. Creating spec projects is massive, and I'm a big proponent of spec projects. I just created 2 really awesome spec projects that are coming out really soon. I think I'm gonna do a series on them about how I created everything from the audio to the color grading, the filming, the storyboard, everything. I think I might make a series for each individual spec project that I created for that one weekend that I shot. But yeah, it's hard work, connections, being a kind person, being generous with your time, being generous with, your criticisms. If people ask you for advice, why wouldn't you give them advice if they're looking for you? Because sometimes when I ask for advice to someone and they don't answer, I'm like, well, that kind of sucked. But when they do answer me, it's like, wow, this person's really helpful. They're nice. So hopefully I answered your question. I think I got 2 more on Instagram real quick. So I got a couple questions on Instagram here. First one is by ASA Fletcher. Really cool kid. Talked to him a little bit. Really nice. His question was, so I recently started a YouTube channel and don't have much money to spend on a camera. So I was wondering if investing in a camera or investing in editing software is a better idea. It's a hard question. Without knowing your financial situation, and granted, I don't want to know it. It's not my business to know your financial situation. I believe it's not all about the gear as far as camera. If you have an iPhone, you can shoot a YouTube video. If you're doing videos on filmmaking or cinematography, then maybe you would like to invest in a camera. And if you have a laptop, assuming you maybe have a MacBook, it comes with iMovie. Try to use a free editing software. There's plenty of them out there. You don't need to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on editing softwares where there's kind of very affordable ones, especially for YouTube, where you might not be doing crazy editing like masking and transition, speed rate. I don't know. You don't have to do all that stuff. Maybe just look into getting a camera, or even if you have an iPhone, dude, that's perfectly fine. It really is. A lot of what makes an image look good is lighting. I'm still working on my lighting for this setup. Like, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but honestly, every video keep changing, and I'm just trying to figure out the best scene for this room, this little box that I'm in. But yeah, I don't know really. Maybe I don't think investing in software is your best bet now, unless you want to become an editor. But maybe invest in a camera and learn how to use that camera to the best of your ability, and then maybe look into getting a cheaper or free software. Next question is by Matteo Dei Maddalena. Said, since you're a familiar name, are you from Italy? No, I'm not from Italy, but I am Italian. Thank you. I know this is not related to filmmaking, but I'm just curious about your possible journey of Italian guy doing amazing stuff in America. I'm from America. I'm just Italian. So I don't know. How do you find inspiration? Great question. How do I find inspiration? That's tough. Honestly, I find inspiration because I have a lot of really awesome friends that do a lot of really awesome things, and just seeing their work and seeing all the things that they do inspires me to keep pushing and moving forward and doing better and bigger things each time. Also, just being able to get outside. I live close to the beach, fortunately, so sunrises and sunsets, I'm usually at the beach all the time. It's just a great way for me to kind of just open my eyes and breathe and just get away from distractions. And I watch a lot of movies too, and I try to find some cool TV shows. Being a cinematographer and wanting to become a better cinematographer, I find it super valuable to study movies, study TV shows as well. So I find inspiration in that. And yeah, books. Like I had a video that a couple videos ago. Books that I read, like Lighting for Cinematography here, Painting with Light, Master Shots. I also have the American Cinematographer magazine. Like, all these stuff are just... Oh, wait. Hold on. Going back to that first question. one of the best cinematographers I completely forgot about. This freaking guy right here, Bradford Young. My God. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Selma, but when I tell you need to watch that movie, please watch that movie. Bradford Young is a god. He is so good. I can't believe I forgot him. That is absolutely just disrespectful. But inspiration, I think I answered your question. I think that's all the questions that I got for this, and I'm really grateful for everyone that did ask me those questions. That really means a lot to me that you wanted to be a part of this video. Thank you so much. That's it for this one. I look forward to speaking to you guys next week. Not sure what I'm gonna do next week. Let's see. I got a couple ideas coming up, so stay tuned for it, and I appreciate all of your guys' support. Please hit the like button, maybe hit subscribe if you don't subscribe already. Comment, let me know what you think, and just say what's up. DM me on Instagram, say hi. I'd love to talk to you guys, and thank you so much. Have a great day. Peace.